Hi everybody, here's Tuesday's maths lesson. On screen you can see today's starter task. It's called Square Thinkers. Miss Pie thinks of a number, then squares it. Fag thinks of a different number and squares it. Russ realises that his number squared is equal to the other two numbers squared equal to the other two square numbers added together. What numbers did these people think of? Now, first of all, before you approach this task, you need to remember what square numbers are. Miss Pie said she thought of a number and then squared it. What does it mean if you square a number? It means you multiply the number by itself. For example, if she thought of the number 9 and she squared it, she would do 9 multiplied by 9, which is 81. So 81 is a square number. Okay? If you need some extra help, I'll put some square numbers on screen, but if you're happy, pause the video and see if you can work out each of the numbers. So here's a square number grid, so you can see that 5 multiplied by 5, so 5 squared is 25. Notice how they're in a diagonal line, there's a pattern. See if you can complete the task. Right, I'm going to reveal the answer. So I think that Miss Pie thought of 3, Fag thought of 4, and Russ thought of 5. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. When you add 9 and 16 together, you get 25. Did you get the same as me, or have you got another solution? I'd be interested to know if other numbers work. Now we're going to carry on with our percentage, fraction, decimal equivalents, and at the end of this session we're going to start finding percentages of amounts, and we will continue that for the rest of the week. So for example, we'll be finding 10% of a number, we'll be finding 90% of a number, so brilliant skills to have. For a starter, please write down, so you can write them as equals, so 50% equals which one of these fractions? Top tip if you're stuck, look at the list, work out which ones you're familiar with. So for example, I am familiar with 75%. I know 75, it's a key fact of mine, so I'm going to do that one first. Pause the video, have a go. Right, pause if you're still working. I highlighted these fractions. I know those fractions, so that helped me. If you haven't completed it, you might be able to match those ones because you should know those because we've been talking about these for the past couple of weeks. I know that 3/5 equals 60% and it's 0.6. Maybe you can add that down on your piece of paper. 75% is equal to 3/4 and 0.75. 70% equals 7/10 and 0.7. Now I've got 2 left. If you haven't finished, see if you can match them up. 68% equals 680 thousandths, which looks like 0.68. And 50% is equal to 7/14. That's a half, isn't it? It looked tricky at first. It's just a half, which is the same as 0.5. Mark your work and let me know how you got on after the lesson. Next question. Circle all the fractions that are equivalent to 40%. Now don't be put off because there's quite a few fractions to look at here. What does 40% look like as a decimal? Hopefully you've written down or you've said 0.4. Now first of all, use your logic. 4/10. Okay, that's not on there. But I know that 40% is quite close to half. So there's one fraction on there that I'm certain I can get rid of before I've even started because it's nowhere near half just by using my logic. Which one can I cross out straight away? Hopefully you said 1/40th. That's just, there's no way it's going to be 1/40th. That's nowhere near halfway. So sometimes you can look at these questions and you can just cross it out. I wouldn't cross out 14/35 because I don't know that fraction. I'm not really sure if it's near halfway. I'm not certain, so you can't do that for all of them, but if it's really obvious, look for that first. Now, 40%. 4 is a key fact. Read each of these fractions and work out which ones have we been learning about for the past couple of weeks. I can see one just jumping out at me. It's a key fact. Right, I know 2/5 and 3/5. One of those equals 40%. Which one is it? 0.2 is 1/5. So I'm hoping you chose 2/5. That's 1 point. I know now it's not 3/5. That's 60%. So I can cross that one out. I've crossed 1/40th out. Using my logic, as I said before, it's nowhere near halfway. Tell me why I've crossed this one out. Why would I say no to 40/10? Why? It's got a 40. Why have I said no? I'm hoping you've said that 40% equals 4/10. This is an improper fraction. The numerator is bigger than the denominator. If 40% is worth 4/10, what whole number do you think this represents? This represents 4 wholes. So this would be a 400%. So it's not that one, it's not that one, it's not that one. Now investigate these two fractions. Pause the video and have a go yourself, and then I'll show you some workings on screen afterwards. Right, 8/20. I know that 8/20 equals 4/10 because 20 divided by 2 is 10. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So that's another point for me. You try and work out, if you haven't already, if 14/35 equals 40%. Can you do an equivalent fraction string? See if you can do it. Right, I know that 14 and 35 are both multiples of 7. If you haven't already, complete this. "35 divided by 7 is 5. 14 divided by 7 is 2. 2/5, key fact, 0.4. And 0.4 equals 40%. So that's another point for me. So there are 3 fractions that are equivalent to 40%. Notice how I use my logic, I use my key facts knowledge, and I also use my equivalent fraction knowledge as well. So all of these skills link together to make you a great mathematician. A little bit of key fact practice. Can you write down the missing fraction decimal percentages? It might be worthwhile writing down something equals 0.01 equals 1% for good practice, but if you think you've done enough of this already, on your piece of paper, just write down what would go in the blue gaps. Use your knowledge. You can do this. Pause the video. Right, let's mark your work. 0.01. That's 1/100th. 1 out of 100. 1/10. 10%. 1/5. 0.2. 1/4. 0.25. 50%. Half. 3/4. 75%. Hopefully you're finding this easier and easier the more we practice. Hopefully it's becoming more natural to you. Zara is doing a 420-kilometre charity bike ride. So far, she has completed 50% of the route. How far has she cycled? Pause the video, see if you can work out how many kilometres she's cycled so far. I'm now going to reveal the answer on the screen. So 100% of the journey is 420 kilometres. 50% means half, so Zara has cycled 210 kilometres. Mark your work, did you get it right? So basically, to find 50% of a number, halve it. Nice and easy. Rishi has completed 10% of the same bike ride. How far has he cycled? Which fraction links to 10%? What is the equivalent fraction? I'll tell you the decimal, 0.1. You tell me the fraction. I hope you have said 1/10. So all you need to do to find 10% is to divide it by 10. Work out the answer, pause the video, write your answer down. Now I'm going to reveal the answer. So 100% is 420. So 10% is 1/10. So 420 divided by 10 is 42 kilometres. Mark your work. James has completed 1% of the same bike ride. How far has he cycled? What fraction is equivalent to 1%? I will tell you the decimal. 1% equals 0.01. What fraction is equivalent? I'm hoping you have written down 1/100th. So how do you find 1/100th of a number? To find 1% of a number, divide the amount by 100. There's your clue. Pause the video and write down your answer. So 100% is 420. So 1% would be 1/100th of 420. 420 divided by 100, so I shift the digits 2 places to the right, 4.2 kilometres. Do you agree? Right. Here's a ratio table. Just shows what we've already done. To find 50%, we divide by 2. To find 10%, we divide by 10. To find 1%, we divide by 100. These are all important key facts. If you can find 10%, you will find finding a lot of percentages super easy. Use that knowledge to complete this ratio table. I've put it at the side here so you remember. So this time your number's 650. First do 50%, so that's halving. Then find 10%, divided by 10. And then find 1%, divided by 100. Pause the video. Write down your ratio table, please. Right, I'm going to reveal the answers so you can see how you did. 650 divided by 2 is 325. 650 divided by 10 is 65. 650 divided by 100, or I could have just divided the 10 one by 10 again, 6.5. Right, use your skills. Final task for today. Same techniques. Complete the ratio tables for 30, 230 and 84. Complete the tables, off you go. Now I'm going to reveal the answer so you can mark your own work. Okay, notice how to find 1%, if you find 10% first, you can just divide the 10% by 10. So all you're doing for 10% and 1% is moving the digits, so you're playing with the place value. Just remember that. Tomorrow we will carry on with finding percentages of numbers. Hope you're enjoying it. Well done for taking part and share your work.